Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Kendra, and today I'm sharing some cards that I made with the Pink and Main November of 2024 Crafty Courtyard Kit called Home Sweet Home. Here's a very quick look at what all is included in the kit. You get beautiful holographic specialty cardstock plus some shimmery white cardstock plus 4 sheets of colored cardstock, a zippered project pouch, a stamp set called Home Sweet Home that has a lot of different home theme sentiments, plus a die set called Home Sweet Home that has all of the different pieces to build a house. And the kit also includes the winter home add-on dies where you can add snow and other wintry decorations. And then you also get 6 sheets of beautiful white holographic paper, an exclusive confetti mix in holographic colors, and it also includes some sticky gems. Plus, the paper this month is a sampler pack with 10 different sheets of one-sided pattern paper, and this is called Cozy Winter, and it is 5.5 by 8.5. So let's jump right in. So I'm starting out by taking all of the Home Sweet Home dies, and I've laid them out on my magnetic mat of my Impress die cutting machine. I have a half sheet of express blended cardstock on top, and I ran it through my die cutting machine, and then I'm transferring all of the cut pieces onto a scrap piece of paper so that I could color them. So I tried sorting them to figure out what went where, and it was at this moment that I realized that it might have been smarter to add some double-sided adhesive to the back of the white cardstock to try to help keep all of the pieces together. I still would have had to separate all of the die cuts into different piles based on colors, but I mainly wanted to make sure that I knew exactly where the pieces went so that I could color them the right color. Now there are a few pieces that you'll have to cut out twice if you want it to look like the picture shown on the back of this die set. The shutters and the gables, I think is what they're called, the upstairs windows, you have to cut those out twice. And at this point, looking at the picture, there were a couple of pieces that I didn't know what they were for because they aren't shown on the picture, but I did eventually figure it out, and I'll explain those as we get further along. But I did cut out a second set in case I messed up on the pieces. I selected some Copic markers in colors similar to those shown in the picture, and I colored the pieces off camera. And I started assembling the house and realized that I wasn't recording. So I have the left side, small portion of the house with the door already put together. I wish that I had colored that the left side a little bit darker so that that round window would show up better. But because I already had glued it down, I was afraid to try to color it. I didn't want to mess it up. But I put the little skinny sliver that I think was supposed to go on the concrete piece below the door on the bottom part of the roof. I guess I thought it was the gutter, but after I glued it down, I realized that it wasn't quite long enough. So I had to butt the right-hand side of the house a little closer to the left side than I think it was meant to be. And because of this, I didn't have enough room to put 2 sets of windows with the shutters. So you'll see me playing around with different window options. And that's when I realized that the rectangle piece with the frame is an alternative window. So if you look at the back of the add-on die set packaging, you'll see that that window is used. So I colored the frame gray to make it stand out a little more next to the window that I colored the same light blue as the rest of the windows. Now there were a lot of little pieces. There were 2 tops of lampposts and a door handle, and I colored them all gold, and then accidentally I glued one of the lampposts onto the door sideways instead of the door handle. It's a little fancier, but because I did that, I couldn't use the 2 lamps next to the front door. I didn't plan to make this a wintry house originally because I used the larger plain window, but I decided to cut out the winter add-on dies. So on my magnetic mat, I separated out the dies that would need to be colored from the snow dies, and I used regular white cardstock for the ones on top that I needed to color, and I used the shimmery white cardstock from the kit to cut out all of the snow pieces. After running this through my die cutting machine, I again separated out the pieces that needed to be colored from the white shimmery snow pieces. And I went ahead and I glued down those snow pieces. And as I was doing this, I realized how difficult it was to get the top of the roof with that window, the snow piece that goes along the top. It was a little difficult to put that snow on there since the window had already been glued down. It was a little tricky. So I ended up cutting it in half just so that I could finagle it and get it to show to the left of that window and also to the right along the roof line. So my suggestion would be to cut all of your pieces, including the add-ons, before you start gluing everything together. Make it a lot easier. So I colored all of the add-on pieces and I added the wreath with the bow on the window and the tree next to the door. But now this brings me to the swag piece with the bells that weren't shown in the pictures. I added this above the door, and off camera I added the snowman and the deer. And I really love how this turned out. Now I also put together another house with the leftover pieces. And I wanted the second one to look a little more modern, so I painted the roof and the eaves black along with the frames and the door. And I added a little gray shading on the door, and then I used one of the lamps above it and one of the lanterns between the windows. And I didn't want to make this one a wintry card, just to have something different. So I really love how the black makes everything pop. So now to make cards with the two houses, I cut an A2 size card base from the Sunny Sky cardstock, and I selected the light blue with the snow pattern paper to use with the wintry house. That I cut the panel to 3 3/4 by 5, and I made a gray layer that I cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And then for the other card, I did the same thing except with the plaid pattern for the background, and I used a black layer. And I'm going to stamp the sentiments directly onto the pattern paper. So in order for them to fit, they need to be in the very top right hand corner, as close as I can get it to the top. So I used my MISTI corners to be able to get the stamp where it's not so close to the stamp door edge of my MISTI. I rubbed some anti-static powder on top of the pattern paper, and I stamped the sentiment with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. Now this is a pigment ink that stays wet a little longer than dye-based ink, and so because it stays wet, I'm able to add embossing powder to it while it's still wet. I try to keep the embossing powder in the container as best as I can so I don't make a mess. But for this plaid card, I used the sentiment that says, "Life takes us to unexpected places. Love brings us home." And the sentiment that I'm using for this wintry card, it says, "When I'm with you, I'm home." But I basically just repeated the same steps that I did for the other card for this one. And then as I assemble the cards, I'll tell you a little more about the Crafty Courtyard Kits. The monthly subscription kit base price is only $34.99, and a shipping charge is added based on your location, but it is a wonderful value. You get tons of stuff. And if you want to receive a kit in the mail each month, you can join as a subscriber on the Pink and Main website. And what's great about being a subscriber is that you can receive 15% off other products in the store while you're a subscriber. So when you subscribe to the kits, it's going to be shipped around the 15th of the month, but you can still sign up and purchase the kit through the end of the month unless it sells out. And I have a feeling this one is going to sell out because it's got lots of specialty cardstock, 2 sets of dies, a stamp set. Anyway, you saw all that at the beginning. But your subscription will change to the next month's box on the 1st, and you can also purchase some of these items individually in the Pink and Main website when the November release comes out. So if you'd like to subscribe, I will have an affiliate link down in the description box, and if you make a purchase using this link, I earn a small commission at no extra cost to you, and this helps to support my channel. Now, some of the details that I added to that last card, I put some confetti sequins around the sentiment, and I added some touch of gloss to all of the windows, and I think that really set it off. It really made a difference. All of the windows shining. It's a very stunning card. It's almost one that I would want to keep for myself and never give away. But I do want to say that I created this particular card right here for my son. I think the sentiment is perfect for him because right now he is in Brazil. So anyway, I wanted to use more of the pattern paper for other cards, and since they are winter patterns, I thought that the November of 2024 Stamp & Die of the Month would be perfect to use with them. This is called Cozy Penguins. Now, I do want to emphasize that this is not part of the Crafty Courtyard Kit. It is the Stamp & Die Set of the Month kit, but it does coordinate well with the papers, so that's why you see me using these images here on my Misty stamping platform. I'm going to stamp these out, but this time I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink since it is Copic marker friendly, and that's what I plan to use to color up these images. Now, I thought I had placed the stamps close enough on the top half so that I could flip the cardstock over and stamp it again on the bottom half, but it wouldn't fit, so I ended up having to get another piece of cardstock to stamp another set because I wanted to make sure that I had enough images. And then I used my Copic markers to color up all of the images. And for the penguins, I used some different shades of neutral grays rather than just straight black. And I started out coloring the feet with some chrome orange, but decided that it was way too bright, so I ended up adding some dark yellow on top. So I selected markers trying to match the colors that are in the pattern paper with the snowflakes that have all the different, the greens and the purples and the blues. So I chose B05. This is very close to middle school blue. And then I used B00 for the lighter shade. And for the purples, I used BV17, BV13, and BV11. And for the greens, I used YG09 and YG04. So I just wanted to mention the colors that I used. So you kind of see me jumping from penguin to penguin, making sure that I'm, using all of the different colors that are shown in this pattern paper. And here you just see me adding some flecks going upward for the leaves on the tree, the Christmas tree, or branches, I should say. And I'm just kind of switching between all the different images. Now on the coffee cup, I used some lighter grays, added a little bit of pink to the peppermint on the front of the, I guess whatever you call the place where you put your hand. I don't know what you call that. I don't drink coffee, so I don't know what that's called. But anyway, colored the coffee mug blue. And then for the fireplace, I started out using E08, and then I came in with E04, which I thought was going to be my lighter shade, but I didn't like how pink the E04 made it. So I know for the bottom part, I used neutral grays, same that I used for the penguins, but I ended up coloring over the entire fireplace with E35, and I think that helped a lot. It kind of toned down that pink. So I colored in the fire and the two plants on the side, and I have to apologize. I got off camera here for a second, but I ended up pulling in that lighter shade of green and then just made some finishing touches. Oh, it's a sleeve. The sleeve on the coffee cup. That's what it's called. Sorry about that. So here I'm just, I guess this is a bean bag. That looks super comfy. I have a bean bag next to my fireplace and I love it. Okay, so next I cut out all of the images with the coordinating dies. And then I selected one of the coordinating colored cardstocks to cut shapes out of using the Card Cut Essentials die set number 1. And I used, this is middle school blue here. And I also used the stars from both die sets number 1 and 2, and also the Hello Word and Shadow die. So I used the shimmery cardstock to cut out the inside hello and one of the stitch banner pieces. And then I used die set number 2 on the blue snowflake pattern. And even though the paper isn't 6 inches wide, I'm still able to cut it where I can use most of the shapes on it. And now that I have all of these pieces cut, I can start sorting and figuring out what pieces I want to use where. I also cut another set of shapes from die number 1 again from the shimmery white paper, and off camera I cut some additional shapes with this holographic cardstock that you see me cutting some 1/4 inch strips from. So anytime you want a layered look, but you don't want to use up your expensive specialty papers, you can always cut strips instead to give it a layered look, but it's not layered. You're just using the strips. So you can definitely stretch your supplies to make it go further by doing this. So I've put together the components to make a few cards from the sketches from challenge number 16. I'll have the sketch shown on the screen at the beginning of each card, and you'll see me using some solid papers instead of pattern papers where the colors are on the sketches. And I've pulled in a Pink and Main Snowflake embossing folder from a previous Crafty Courtyard kit to emboss the large middle purple square on this particular card. And I used the small stitched squares that were cut from the shimmery white cardstock on top of the blue stitched strip. And then for the back panel, I used the herringbone pattern that I cut to the same size as the A2 card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now, if you're not familiar with my card challenge, I provide this free PDF printable that gives instructions on how to take 6 sheets of 6" by 6" pattern paper and cut it so that you can get 15 cards from those cut pieces. There are cutting guides that show you how to cut each of the 6 pattern papers, and there are also 15 card sketches, and they're all color-coded, and they show where each of the pieces from those pattern papers go on the sketch. Now, these sketches also have measurements on each of the pieces in case you don't want to make all 15 cards at once, which is what I'm doing here. I'm just making a few. But if you want more information about my card challenges, visit kendrascardchallenges.com, and I'll also have this linked below in the description box. But basically, I'm trying to use up all of those pieces that I cut using the Card Cut Essentials dies, which I forgot to mention you can also purchase from Pink and Main. These were released a while back. These were some dies that I designed, and they work perfectly with these card challenges, and you can make a ton of cards from all the pieces. But you'll see that I'm making a few of the same card sketch, plus some additional cards that I didn't use a sketch for. I just basically used the pieces that were left over. So while I put together the rest of these cards, I'm going to put on some music. Hope you enjoy it. as I finish up this last card here, I'd like to invite you to join in on my card challenges. They're quarterly, and the one that we're currently in ends on December 31st of 2024. You can not only get a great set of cards, but you'll have a chance to win a ton of prizes valued at over $1,000. And this includes a prize pack or a $25 gift certificate from Pink and Main. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I'd appreciate it if you'd give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.